Ever wondered about the story behind a track that just screams California sunshine, you know,
Yeah.
and West Coast swagger?
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Sure.
California Love.
Yeah.
Tupac featuring Dr. Dre.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a deep dive into this iconic anthem today.
That's a good one.
And trust me, it is way more than just a catchy tune.
Oh, yeah. California Love, released back in February of 95.
95.
It wasn't just a hit. No, it was a cultural phenomenon.
For sure.
Captured the energy of the West Coast.
Absolutely.
Became a global anthem.
So our mission today
Yeah.
is to kind of unpack how this song went from a regional celebration to a worldwide sensation.
Okay.
We'll explore the musical DNA,
Right.
its connection to the social landscape of the 90s,
Yes.
and its lasting legacy.
So we're going to break down some of those musical elements that made California Love so unique.
Okay.
For instance, Dr. Dre, who had been part of the groundbreaking group N.W.A,
N.W.A.
was now a solo superstar.
Right.
And he pioneered a new sound
A new sound.
called G-Funk.
G-Funk. All right, so tell me about G-Funk.
So think smooth, almost psychedelic synth melodies layered over heavy bass lines.
Okay, so that's kind of the sonic foundation, if you will.
Yeah,
And then you add in Tupac,
right.
who at this point was already known for his powerful,
Yeah,
politically charged lyrics.
absolutely.
But California Love marked a bit of a shift for him, don't you think?
It did.
Yeah.
While he didn't completely abandon his social commentary,
Right.
California Love saw Tupac embracing a more mainstream party vibe.
Right, it was kind of strategic, right?
It was a strategic move,
Yeah.
broadening his appeal and bringing West Coast hip-hop to a wider audience.
Absolutely. And that's where I think the genius of the song comes in.
Okay.
It managed to capture both the carefree,
Yes.
celebratory spirit of California,
Right.
but also that hint of something a bit edgier, a bit more raw,
Yeah.
like that opening line.
Yeah. What is it?
Now, let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West.
Mhm.
It's an invitation to a party,
Sure.
but there's an undercurrent of something else there, too, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This wasn't just about sunshine and beaches. The song acknowledged the complexities of California life,
Yeah,
reflecting some of the social and economic tensions of the time.
for sure.
Remember, this was the era of the East Coast, West Coast rivalry in hip-hop,
Oh, yeah, big time.
which went beyond music and tapped into deeper issues.
Absolutely. And California Love became an anthem for West Coast pride,
Yes,
a counter-narrative to the gangsta rap image coming from the East.
exactly.
So it offered a different perspective on West Coast life,
Yeah.
a celebration of its unique culture and energy.
And that's where the Mad Max inspiration for the music video comes in.
Oh, yeah, that post-apocalyptic aesthetic was huge in the 90s,
Right.
particularly in West Coast street culture.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about how that visual style connected to the song's message.
Well, Mad Max imagery was all about survival, rebellion, and forging your own path in a chaotic world. It was a perfect visual metaphor for the spirit of California Love, which was about embracing freedom, challenging norms, and creating your own version of the California dream.
Speaking of the California dream,
Yes.
the song kind of paints a pretty vivid picture of it, right?
It does.
Parties, sunshine, that carefree West Coast vibe.
Absolutely.
But as we've discussed, there's also that something else lurking beneath the surface.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't all romanticized.
Right.
The Wild Wild West imagery hinted at a grittier side to the California experience.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of what made the song so relatable. It wasn't just a fantasy. It acknowledged the complexities, the light and shadow of life in California.
And that authenticity, I think, is what resonated with people.
Yeah.
It felt real. It felt lived in.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another layer to this song that we can't ignore.
What's that?
And that's the music itself. We talked about G-Funk.
Right.
But there's another sonic element that makes California Love so distinctive.
Okay.
And that's the use of the talk box.
Oh, you mean that robotic vocal sound that weaves in and out of the track?
Yeah.
That's the talk box.
Yeah.
And it was a signature element of the West Coast sound.
For sure.
Roger Troutman,
Roger Troutman.
a true master of the talk box, actually contributed vocals to California Love,
Wow, I did not know that.
adding another layer of sonic texture and West Coast flavor.
And let's not forget those irresistible beats.
Oh,
The
yeah.
kind that make you want to roll down the windows,
Right.
crank up the volume,
Yeah.
and just drive.
Yeah.
It's a sound that's both nostalgic and timeless, isn't it?
It certainly has enduring qualities.
Yeah.
but some aspects might feel a little dated to a modern audience.
Okay.
Especially the gangsta imagery.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how younger generations interpret that today.
That's a great point. The cultural landscape has definitely shifted since the 90s.
It has.
But I think the core message of California Love, that yearning for freedom, that desire to create your own path, is something that still resonates, regardless of your generation or background.
I agree. There's something universal about that desire for self-expression and breaking free from constraints.
Absolutely.
And California Love packaged it in a way that was both catchy and thought-provoking.
Totally.
Yeah.
Really well done. And that's what made it such a global phenomenon.
It really is amazing.
This song wasn't just confined to the West Coast. It spread like wildfire, crossing borders and cultural boundaries.
It did. It's true.
So how did a song so rooted in a specific time and place achieve such widespread appeal?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
For one, it had that irresistible G-funk sound that Dr. Dre had perfected.
Right.
It was fresh, it was innovative, and it was impossible not to move to.
Yeah, and it tapped into a global fascination with California.
And
the California dream, with its promises of sunshine, freedom, and opportunity, had always held a certain allure.
And California Love brought that dream to life.
It did.
Sonically and lyrically.
Yeah, it was like a postcard from paradise.
Yeah.
Even if it acknowledged the complexities beneath the surface.
Right. And let's not forget Tupac's charisma.
Oh, yeah.
He was a captivating performer.
He was.
And his delivery on California Love was electric.
Oh, yeah.
He brought an intensity and authenticity to the song that resonated with audiences worldwide.
Absolutely, you could feel the passion.
It's good. Yeah.
The energy, the raw emotion in his voice.
And it was contagious.
Yeah.
And then there's the music video.
Right.
Which further amplified the song's impact.
It did.
It was visually stunning,
Yeah.
with its Mad Max-inspired aesthetic and high-octane action sequences.
It was like a mini-movie.
It was like a mini-movie.
And it perfectly captured the song's themes of rebellion, freedom, and living life on your own terms.
The video also helped to solidify Tupac's image as a cultural icon.
Oh, for sure.
He was charismatic, rebellious, and unapologetically himself.
Yeah.
Which resonated with a generation that was looking for something to believe in.
And let's not forget the impact of MTV.
MTV, oh yeah.
This was the era when music videos were at their peak.
Absolutely.
And MTV gave California Love a global platform.
It was in heavy rotation, introducing the song and Tupac to a massive audience.
Yeah.
That might not have been exposed to West Coast hip-hop otherwise.
Exactly. It was a game changer.
It was a game changer.
And the song's success also had a ripple effect on the music industry.
It did.
Suddenly, everyone was paying attention to the West Coast.
To the West Coast.
To G-Funk, to Tupac and Dr. Dre.
It shifted the balance of power in hip-hop.
Yeah, bringing the West Coast sound to the forefront and inspiring a new generation of artists.
It's amazing to think about how one song could have such a profound impact on music and culture.
It really is.
But California Love wasn't just a fleeting moment.
No.
Its influence has endured.
It's become a classic.
It has.
A touchstone of 90s hip-hop that continues to be sampled, referenced, and celebrated today.
And still played everywhere, from parties to sporting events to car commercials.
It's true. It's become part of the cultural fabric.
It has.
But the question remains...
What's that?
Would California Love have the same impact if it were released today? The music landscape has changed drastically, and the cultural context is very different.
That's a tough one.
It is.
I mean, the song's themes of freedom, individuality, and chasing your dreams are timeless.
Yes, but some of the elements, like the gangsta imagery and the hyper-masculine energy, might not resonate with today's audiences in the same way.
That's true. And the way we consume music has changed dramatically.
It has.
In the 90s, MTV was the gateway to new music.
It was.
Today, it's streaming services, social media, and a whole different set of influencers.
Right. So while the core message of California Love might still connect with people, its impact would likely be very different in today's world.
I think so.
And perhaps that's the most intriguing aspect of this deep dive.
Okay.
It's not just about understanding the past. It's about exploring how a cultural artifact from another era might translate to the present.
It makes you think about how music evolves, how cultural trends shift, and how our perceptions of the world change over time.
Exactly.
But even if California Love wouldn't have the same seismic impact today.
Yeah.
There's no denying its significance as a cultural phenomenon that captured a specific moment in time.
Absolutely. It was a product of its era, reflecting the anxieties, aspirations, and energy of the 90s.
Right.
And in doing so, it created a sonic legacy that continues to inspire and resonate with people around the world.
It's a reminder of the power of music to transport us to another time and place.
Yeah.
To evoke emotions and to spark conversations that transcend generations.
Right.
But before we wrap up this deep dive,
okay,
there's one more aspect of California Love that I want to explore.
Okay.
And that's its legacy.
Okay, let's delve into that.
What specific aspects of its legacy are you thinking about?
Well, we've talked about its impact on the music industry.
Well, yeah.
Its role in popularizing the West Coast sound.
Right.
And its enduring popularity.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about its influence on other artists, on subsequent musical trends, and on the way we think about California and the California dream itself.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it's not just about the song itself.
Right.
It's about the ripple effects it created.
Exactly. So let's start with its influence on other artists.
Okay.
California Love was hugely influential, wasn't it?
It was. It helped to solidify G-Funk as a dominant sound in hip-hop.
Okay.
And it inspired countless artists to experiment with similar sonic palettes. You can hear its echoes in everything from West Coast gangsta rap to pop music to electronic dance music.
Right. The song's influence went way beyond hip-hop.
It did.
And what about its impact on the image of California and the California dream? Did it reinforce existing stereotypes, or did it challenge them in any way?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think it did a bit of both.
Okay.
On one hand, the song romanticized California.
Right.
With its imagery of sunshine, parties, and beautiful women.
Yeah.
It perpetuated the idea of California as a place of freedom, opportunity, and escape.
But on the other hand, as we've discussed, it also acknowledged the darker side of the California dream.
It did.
The wild, Wild West imagery hinted at the complexities beneath the surface, the challenges and struggles that existed alongside the glamour.
Exactly. So while it certainly contributed to the mythology of California, it also added a layer of nuance and realism.
And I think that's part of what makes the song so enduring.
Yeah.
It's not just a one-dimensional celebration.
Right.
It's a more complex and layered portrait of California.
It's a snapshot of a specific time and place with all its contradictions and complexities.
And it continues to spark conversations about identity, aspiration, and the allure of the California dream. Even as the reality of California continues to evolve. It's fascinating to see how one song can spark so many layers of discussion.
It really is.
And speaking of layers, we've talked about the lyrics, the music, the video.
Right.
But there's one more element that's crucial to California Love's success.
Okay.
And that's the collaboration between Tupac and Dr. Dre.
Yeah, their synergy on this track was incredible.
It was.
You had Tupac's raw energy and lyrical prowess, combined with Dr. Dre's innovative production and sonic vision.
Yeah.
It was a match made in hip-hop heaven.
It's like they brought out the best in each other.
They did.
Tupac's flow was so dynamic.
It was.
And Dr. Dre's production was so crisp and layered. They created something truly special together.
And it's interesting to consider their individual journeys leading up to California Love.
Yeah.
Dr. Dre was transitioning from the hardcore sounds of N.W.A. to a more polished mainstream sound with G-Funk.
And Tupac, as we mentioned earlier, was also making a conscious shift towards a wider audience.
Exactly. And California Love was the perfect vehicle for both of their artistic evolutions.
Yeah.
It showcased their individual talents while also creating something fresh and groundbreaking.
And I think this collaboration also played a key role in solidifying the West Coast's dominance in hip-hop at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
It wasn't just a song.
Right.
It was a statement.
It was a declaration of West Coast pride.
It was.
A bold counterpoint to the East Coast sound that had been dominating the airwaves.
And it helped to change the perception of West Coast hip-hop.
It did.
It wasn't just about gang violence and street life. It was also about celebration, innovation, and artistic expression.
And that shift in perception had a lasting impact on the music industry.
It did.
The success of California Love opened doors for other West Coast artists and helped to diversify the sound of hip-hop as a whole.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that collaboration can be a powerful force.
It is.
Not just in music, but in any creative endeavor. When different perspectives and talents come together, the results can be truly transformative.
Well said. And California Love is a prime example of that transformative power.
It is. As we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
The idea of the California dream.
It's a California dream.
It's a concept that's been romanticized and mythologized for decades.
It has.
And California love certainly played a role in shaping that image.
Right.
But I'm curious, what do you think the song says about the California dream today?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a simple answer.
Okay.
The California dream has always been a complex and multifaceted concept,
Right.
full of contradictions and shifting interpretations.
Yeah.
On one hand, it represents the pursuit of freedom, opportunity, and self-discovery.
Okay.
It's about escaping the constraints of tradition and forging your own path.
For sure.
On the other hand,
Yeah.
it's also been criticized for being a superficial and unattainable ideal, often ignoring the realities of inequality, social injustice, and economic hardship that exist in California.
And those realities are even more apparent today than they were in the 90s.
They are.
The cost of living has skyrocketed, income inequality has widened, and climate change is having a devastating impact on the state.
Right. So while the allure of sunshine and beaches might still hold some sway, the California dream is facing some serious challenges.
It is, but maybe that's where the true power of California love lies.
Okay.
It captures a moment in time when the California dream felt tangible, attainable, and full of possibility.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity,
Yeah.
there's always hope.
There is.
There's always the drive to create a better future.
It's a reminder that dreams, even if they evolve or face challenges, can still inspire us to strive for something more.
Absolutely. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into California love.
Yeah, it's been fun.
We've explored its musical DNA, its cultural impact,
Its legacy,
and its enduring relevance.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has.
And hopefully it's sparked some new insights and perspectives for our listeners.
And who knows, maybe it's even inspired some of you to revisit this iconic anthem and rediscover its magic for yourselves.
That would be great.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into California love.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the music playing.